the halving is going to, at the end of all of the Bitcoin released into the market, and there is no more Bitcoin, the miners will be working on fees. And it could be much more valuable than the actual Bitcoin.
But don't forget, the last Bitcoin won't be mined till the year 2140.
2148.
2140. None of us will be here. I don't care what you replace.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, like, I have some Litecoin miners running in the back. That's all. But that's what heats the building. And because we've had a very mild year, the furnace with the gas hasn't even come on. Like, that's all that's heating the building. And I'm still comfortable. Well, you see, it's comfortable in here. It's not. Yeah, I did have the gas guy come down and want to know what was going on because we hadn't used gas for so long, right? Yeah.
Before they always check feet for growth.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Why aren't you using our?
Well, and we were using at that time. I don't use that much electricity now because these are only 800 watts each, and I've only got 3 of them. I heat this whole building. Like, that's not so bad. You know, anyway, you look at, and I got some Litecoin, and more importantly, I got Doge. And that Doge became very, very valuable, very, very quick. And the Doge turned out to be way more valuable than any of the Litecoin that I mined with the Litecoin miners. So that's kind of a funny thing, you know. Well, one of the license plates dropped off the car, so I had to get a replacement. So that's why I got 3 and one went up there. Well, I never project on anything like that because it's a meme token. So, I mean, if Elon Musk follows through with some of the things that he's talking about doing, if he opens up X as a payment gateway, then yes, I think Doge is going to be and there's a lot of people I know, a lot of very serious investors that I deal with and talk with all the time that really feel that Doge has a chance to go to $1. And because if the billionaires, if the billionaires in the world get together and decide this is something they want to do, this is what'll happen. If he makes it a payment gateway through X, everybody will start buying it. And as soon as everybody starts buying it, well, you know what happens then. It just goes through the roof. So, yeah, it's a good chance. But it's not something that, you know, I'd still say buy Bitcoin. Even at that, I mean, like, you know, and I think most people that have been in this industry for a while, I don't think anybody in this room that's been at this for a while would disagree with the fact that every time you try and change Bitcoin and make more money with it, you make less Bitcoins. You switch Bitcoin, you do all these fancy moves, you get an AI doing this, and you got a bot doing that, and you know, you're doing arbitrage, and you're doing all this fancy stuff, and at the end of the run, however long it is, whether it's a 6-month or a 2-year run, you find out you have less Bitcoin. That's all that happens every single time.
And going back on your question about mining, ask any of us that have been into mining, and if we could go back and have kept the Bitcoin and not miners, pretty much all would have kept the Bitcoin and not bought it.
But the other side of that spectrum is that you wouldn't have kept the Bitcoin.
Well, exactly.
You know, somehow when you earn it through a miner, even if it's a small amount of returns, even like Sean was saying, with the small amount that I'm getting from the machines in the back, and it's not very much, believe me, but it's a small amount that you earned. It's not like going and buying it from a machine or something. Yeah, you made those, you know, like it's yours.
You're getting it every single minute.
Arguably, they are clean coins as well, which means they're freshly minted. Right now, there's no transactional history on the blockchain, so that's something.
You can either do a little bit of mining like Kevin does for supplemental heating, or you do a whole mining farm.
Absolutely, yeah. Put it in a cold storage, a Trezor, Ledger, some sort of a hardware wallet, and forget about it. Yeah, that's all you got to do. Yeah. So to summarize this whole thing, basically what it's about is that Ethereum, being the #2 token out there now behind Bitcoin, is changing so fast that the regulatory community out there doesn't even know what to do with it. They can't even figure out the first layer, which is Ethereum, and now you've got second, third, fourth, tying off of each other with AI and everything else, so they don't know what to do. And they'll probably come up with a very broad regulatory framework that'll deal with Bitcoin and Ethereum in a very broad way, and then after that they'll try and refine it as time goes on. That's really all that they can do.
Faster than they do.
Oh, way faster. Yeah. That's why they'll wait.
They'll always be trying to catch up.
No, they'll never ever catch up. Okay, so this brings us into AI's role in crypto space, and I did do a presentation a while ago about AI, the convergence of AI and cryptocurrency, and I'm not sure if I ever did get that. I think that was one of the times when the camera didn't work or something. But that was a pretty interesting study where we looked at what's happening with AI and how that's going to intersect with cryptocurrency. And I think we're going to see some huge moves over the next little while. A lot of people I know already are using it a lot. I mean, we use it as a group. I've got the AI that I run and answer questions for people and get it to do all sorts of cool things, including music and all sorts of fun stuff. And that's not going to change in the future. And this is being taken into very extreme high levels. A lot of companies out there right now see the marriage between AI and cryptocurrency as something that it can be extremely profitable. You got smart contracts that can do things that they're told to do. You've got an AI that can make decisions, and you've got a recipe to make almost anything that you can possibly imagine. And when you tie that in with blockchain, it means it's immutable. That means that there's accountability. So if it is something that happens automatically, it can't be like voter fraud and stuff like that, where all these things go missing. There's a blockchain that'll track absolutely everything that happens. So tie that in with AI, which has to be backed by a blockchain, and you've got something that could literally replace most governments that we have in place right now, like voting systems and anything where there's a situation where records have to be kept in a perfect, immutable kind of way. This will replace that very, very easily. Well, you can just look on the blockchain. The thing is, anybody would have access. Anybody could just log in and say, where's my vote? I got my number here. You look it up. You look up your transaction on the blockchain, and you could literally see your vote. And if your vote's not there, well, then you know that there's something wrong if it doesn't show up in X amount of time or whatever. You'd actually say, here's my number. My vote's not there. Straightforward. So because AI can enhance and facilitate crypto trading, it's very dangerous a lot of times for individuals to try and get into be day traders and things like this. And I know a lot of people that have done this in the past, and in the day, almost any one of us could make money doing this. Basically, I'll tell you exactly how we did it. We picked the ones that went down the most the day before, and we bought lots of that, because the next day they'd be the ones that went up the most. Those days are long gone, by the way. You can't do that anymore. It's not something that you can do. And even day trading right now, when you're combining AI with the ability to buy and send cryptocurrency, which you can do, you don't really want to be getting into that space unless you really know what you're doing. So odds are, take whatever crypto you have that you thought you'd become the world's greatest day trader with, and put it into cold storage, and just wait. It's really all you have to do. It's not rocket science, and it's not fancy and sexy like, getting all these buys and sells and shorts and longs and all that kind of stuff. And I can double my shorts and triple my longs. And I mean, I've heard every story that you can imagine. And, I'll do 100x here and 2x here. And, everybody loses money. Like, everybody loses money because it's the AIs that are winning now. And that's the thing. When you're competing against AIs, you're never going to win unless you have a competing AI yourself. In which case, then you've got hundreds of millions of dollars and facilities and people working for you, and you're probably already doing that in the financial sector where you can make more money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, and now if you think back on what we've been talking about this whole presentation and how complex it was going to be just to deal with Ethereum, we'll now put AI on top of that. That can now control these blockchains and change things really on the fly. It's going to be within a very short number of years where we're just going to be custom designing everything that we want to happen. So in other words, I like 80s music, I prefer Bob Dylan, and I want it to have this kind of flair to it. And it won't be that. It'll be a custom generated, custom artist that will be generating music for you. Same thing with videos and movies. People will license their likenesses, and you'll literally on the fly create the kind of movie and the genre you want, and you want sci-fi, you want this, you want that. It'll be photorealistic. You won't be able to tell it from a movie today, or 4K. It'll probably be like 16K or something, and you'll just have an implant in your eye, but hopefully it won't make it that long. But all that stuff is coming. When you start intersecting AI with cryptocurrency, which is a natural marriage, AI and cryptocurrency were designed to be together, and let's just hope that we survive the overlords that will control us, because if one of these AIs does get sentience, like in Terminator movie or one of these other ones, and they get control of all the cryptocurrency, we're all in trouble. All the CBDCs, could you imagine? Yeah, we're going to give the governments an allowance now. We're going to, US, no, you're spending too much. Get rid of this guy, we don't like him. Well, let's hope that never happens, but okay. The consistent guidelines will actually support growth in this industry. It'll be more of a long-term, steady kind of growth as opposed to the hyperbolic, highs and lows that we have right now, but it'll still be a growth. And arguably could be a growth on a pretty high trajectory as well. So it won't be a bad thing in the long haul. And it'll bring a lot of money in that normally would never come in. Like you'll get the big banks coming in. I mean, Canada has arguably some of the most successful banks in the world. If they get their hands into cryptocurrency, well, you'll be paying fees for all your cryptocurrency. That's what will happen first and foremost. And there'll be NFT fees on your NSF fees on your Bitcoin, and there'll be all sort of things. But they'll be involved in it at some point. But that will get those people into the sector. And as those people get into the sector, if they want to have a holding, if they want to be able to resolve transactions and things like that in any kind of trust kind of capacity, they're going to have X number of cryptocurrencies to be able to do that. So again, that will foster growth. It won't make it go slower, it'll make it go faster. And let's hope that we do get sensible regulations that we can work with now, and hopefully in the longer term we'll work out where it won't stifle innovation, because really that's our number one thing right now, is not stifling innovation. Canada was one of the leaders in blockchain technology, and under our current government, the things that have happened have driven most of the people I know in the sector have either gone to the States, those that don't want to travel too far, and others have gone overseas, because you can work anywhere when you're in this industry. You don't have to be in Canada. So it's unfortunate, we've lost a lot of talent, and let's hope that we start thinking about this differently, realizing that this is the future. Trying to avoid the future doesn't change the future. It still happens whether you avoid it or not, and if we're a country avoiding it, it's not a good thing. And that's what we're talking about. The flexibility, allow businesses to thrive in this, allow them to make money, because when businesses make money in this sector, then they then go and hire employees. Those employees buy cars and houses and fridges and things like that. If you stifle this technology and things keep going away as they have been, in a very short space of time, we won't be replacing older industries with new industries. And this is a new growth industry. So, let's hope that this regulatory framework that's happening in Canada doesn't go too crazy. Okay, so yeah, maybe some community involvement. If you even just on a personal level, we can say to people like, crypto's not a bad thing. Yes, we all have heard of people who've gotten ripped off. That happens. But crypto's not a bad thing. This is just bad players. It's just like, I know people who are hunters and they're the most responsible people I know, but some people will say anybody who has a gun is dangerous. Well, no, they're not. Same thing with cryptocurrency. Like if you're responsible with your cryptocurrency and you're handling it in a good, responsible way, having, cold storage, that's yours. You own that. And what else can you say in this life that you really own? I mean, if you've got a property and you do something wrong with the city, the reeve, whoever that is, and you do something wrong and they disagree with you, they can force the sale of your property and kick you off. If they decide to put a freeway or a street through where you live, they can get rid of you. There's rules for them to be able to do that. Well, they can't do that with cryptocurrency. Once you have it, it's yours. If you have it in cold storage and you've properly taken care of it, you own it. It's one of the few things in this world that we can actually own. You own all the responsibility. Very important, actually. Yeah, because you can't go to them and say, hey, I screwed up. Can you just get this back for me? There's nobody to say that to.
Exactly.
It's just gone forever. So yeah. And question and answer. So there's any questions about any of this stuff that we've talked about? I know we talked on some of the blockchain stuff and other things like that, but most of it is fairly simple if you give real world examples, and you look at it step by step by step, how this could happen and that could happen as a result of that. So, any questions? Anybody got anything for me? Wayne, you got no questions? Buy Bitcoin? Whatever money you're going to take and put into that, buy Bitcoin. Buy
Give me 5 minutes, I'm going to create a coin, and then you could give me your money.
Yeah, I mean, we have a coin too, It's like if you had Apple stock before it pumped. You just had Apple stock and that's all you had. And then you thought you were a super trader, so you sold off most of your Apple stock to get Yahoo! Right? And you lost all your money and that's it, Yeah, it gets complicated, all these coins, and they change blockchains and all sorts of stuff happened. There's another good example. That one was out and out a scam, and I told people not to invest in it, and yet people still went ahead and invested in it.
Well, they're not showing up at the meetings now.
No, they don't show up at the meetings anymore. But I said it's a scam. Don't put your money in it. And oh no, it's wonderful. We're gonna be wealthy for the rest of our lives. And I said, okay, just buy Bitcoin. I said the same thing I said to you. I said, buy Bitcoin. Had they bought Bitcoin, they would be wealthy people right now. All joking aside, because there's a huge amount of money that went to this project. So for the final slide here, all I did was I put up some ways that you guys can continue your own research. Just some good places that you can go and look at and get a little bit more information and just maybe some search examples of things you can go ahead and search. So if you want to take a shot of that one, I'll leave that one up because the next one is just saying thank you for coming and listening and all that kind of stuff. We're still going to do our picks yet, and we'll just, you know, sit around, have a couple drinks, and
Yeah, I'll show a
eat some
couple of
popcorn.
websites.
Wayne's got some stuff to talk about, and Sean has some stuff to talk about too, but it'll just be a few minutes each one, so, you know.
Well, just to cap off,
Yep.
what is your general feeling on being more paranoid or just kind of status quo for how regulations are either evolving or kind of?
Well, maybe I didn't make that clear, but my feelings are right now you've got a window that's closing. The regulations are coming, whether you want them to or not. So right now you have a window that allows you to get grandfathered in with your crypto, right? So everything you buy right now, you're buying tax-free. When the time comes and they start applying tax to that, you won't necessarily get levied with that because you, and I don't know, again, nobody knows what exactly is going to happen, so I'm not professing to, but there's a good chance that you'd be grandfathered in because you entered in during a time when that wasn't in place. So let's hope that that's what happens, and that's kind of the way that I would look at that. I still think that, you know, we had this conversation a little bit earlier today. We said, okay, so you made 10 grand. You did some great investment. You made 10 grand. What are you going to put it in? You're going to put it in your mattress? Well, you're going to lose 8% a year with that because our money's not buying as much as it has. And my God, I went and bought a steak. It was 24 bucks. Like, it wasn't even a really good steak. Like 24 bucks for a steak. Oh my Lord. So, you know, putting it in your mattress isn't going to work. Well, I'll put it into gold. Well, we've already known for a lot of years now that gold and precious metals are pretty much controlled already, and they may go up, but they're not going to give you any kind of chance for wealth. Or, well, the whole point that I'm trying to make, though, is that, okay, if you've got 10 grand and you want to you want to reinvest into something, really, the only thing that makes sense is crypto. I mean, and again, I would primarily stick with Bitcoin and ETH, but those two, if you're willing to wait for a long time and you can take the drops down, as they inevitably will, whether it's half their value, a third their value, or whatever, if you're willing to wait through that, that's a way better long-term hold than any kind of bank accounts. So that's about it, unless we have any other questions or...
I got a question.
Yeah.
Is there can the government check how much Bitcoin I have in my wallet?
It depends what platform you have it on currently. Which wallet are you using? Trust?
Trezor?
Yeah, Treasure.
Trezor is air gap from the internet. So unless you registered with Trezor when you set up your device and gave them your email address, there'd be no way to look back on you. You'd just be a random address created on the blockchain. Well, and also your Trezor, every time that it receives funds, the next time you go to generate a new address, it'll be a brand new address. So as soon as funds are received to an address, it'll generate a new one after that. Well, and any address that's with an exchange is green lighted. They know everything about you from
Unless you're
that.
buying.
Never crazy.
No, it's crazy.
No crazy questions, just crazy
Has anyone
people.
ever followed Bitcoin Ben?
Yeah, Bitcoin Ben is actually Skyped in for a meeting here.
What?
He Skyped in for a meeting. It's still, I think it's still on the YouTube, isn't it?
I think so.
Years ago, that's when he first got going, yeah. Yeah. No way. Yeah. Spend like what, an hour and a half with us? Yeah.
Belongs, guardian of the crypto, where our future's drawn, protecting us from bankruptcy. His will so